Hello, Sean here. Welcome to Dragonboat Dynasty. Yes, I have been away from this thing for a couple of months. Not a couple of months, I think. A little over half a year or so. I'm back. So just to update you guys on what I've been doing for the past at least 6 to 7 months, me and a couple of people have been starting a new venture using Dragonboat as a platform to do corporate training and team building. We have been doing this for quite a long time, but we never actually focused in this. As of early 2024, around January or February, we decided that we should give it a shot and take it seriously and see how far we can go with it. There are other ventures as well that we are currently working on right now. It's still pretty early days. I guess once things stabilize and we know that it's something of, I guess, a staple menu in our catalog of services, it's just a fancy word of saying once the business stabilizes and we are sure that we're actually making some money, then I can actually share with you guys what is it that we are looking at. But for today, I know that in one of the past episodes, I did talk about our R's program, the Argo Slightly Elite. And I did say that I was going to dedicate one specific episode to explain about this in more detail. So this is it. Right, so let's go back all the way to 2017. We were actually riding a high from Langkawi race and DBS Marina Regatta. So in the Langkawi race was our second year racing. And at that time, it was the first time we were able to properly compete, not just compete, but paddle alongside in the finals against what we regard as giants, teams like Penang Forward and PIPC. This was actually due to a very experimental race strategy that we used, which we used for Langkawi and then the DBS Marina Regatta the next year. And after that, because it was such a high-risk strategy, we abandoned it altogether and went back to more traditional formats. I will not explain in detail what is this. These are proprietary stuff that we established on ourselves, on our own. What happened after Langkawi and DBS Marina Regatta was the team was actually very hungry to dominate more competitions. At least some of us, because some of us were very... We saw this light. We love winning. And we were the kind of people who would put ourselves in a lot of pain in order to win. That was... Some of us were like that. But the others in the team were less, and they value more like a good workout together, a good community and things like that. At that point, we knew we needed a program to focus on pushing those who are willing to go to the limit and be treated like proper athletes. And there were also people who just wanted a good weekend workout. Now we have two groups of people, the competitive and the social. So we came out with this program called the Argo Elite. But because we wanted to just downplay the seriousness of it. We didn't want to spark this elitism and segregation. So we call it Argo Slightly Elite. So it's just like just by a little bit more. And in short, we call it R's. Make fun of ourselves to not take it so seriously. The R's program was an opt-in program, which means that people volunteer themselves to be part of the program. And we don't choose based on their merit, based on their performance, because at that time we had no measure. We have no method of measuring how good our paddlers were, where were they good at, and all kinds of stuff. It was all just based on observation and feel. And we knew that if we were to create an invite-only program, it would cause a lot of backlash. So we would just let anyone, regardless of their ability, to sign up. But of course, we told them that the training would be tough. The first problem that we saw happen was peer pressure, in the sense that there were people they had friends who joined the R's program and they pressured other friends to join the R's program, knowing that these people are not fit for it or it would be very difficult for them to cope. There were also people who were pressured to boycott the program because it went against Argo Naga's value, our core value of grow together, win together. So just as a recap, grow together, win together means in order for the team to win together, we have to grow together. And together means nobody gets left behind. And the creation of the Rs program essentially led some people to have this idea that there was a half who were left behind in the growth of the team because they are no longer part of this special program. Those who joined the program, some of them were clearly not fit enough, and they actually struggled very badly physically and mentally and emotionally throughout the entire process. So remember, at this point of time, we were paddling to a point of vomiting. On almost every race sets, 1 or 2 people will be vomiting and paddles will be breaking. It was crazy. So that was how serious we took it. Most of the paddlers in the Rs program had this no bullshit, do all out all the time mentality. And they would actually work themselves to the brink of injury every single week, come back the next week for more pain. And they did not care about anybody's emotions, and there was a lot of yelling and screaming and cursing and very direct feedback, direct and very crude feedback thrown onto each other in the boat. And this is something not many people can handle. Most of them understood the assignment. They didn't take anything to heart. So whatever happened in the boat happens in the boat, and they let it go afterwards, and they just go lunch together and they go for a drink just to mend things and just put all these things that happen in the boat aside. But some people really struggled. And we understand because not everybody's built the same way, and not everybody understands things the same way. Some people really personalize everything that happens, and it was very tough for these people. So over time, even paddlers in the Rs program were split into 2 groups. We had A and B. And again, in order to not create any hierarchy and not create any labeling that one is better than the other, instead of calling it A and B, as in A is better than B, we call them agile and brute. It made sense because the agile paddlers, they were not strong paddlers. They were actually relatively weaker, but they were lighter, they were faster, and they were more nimble. Hence the name agile. And the brute group were very strong, they were heavier, but they struggled to control their strength. They were the group of people where when they go into a race set, their brains just switch off and their primal version comes out, and this really powerful but uncontrollable type of powerful version of them comes out. So the strength, the power and everything comes from all angles towards all angles. It was not efficient. There was a lot of fighting with each other, fighting among themselves in terms of where the power goes. And we call them brute because they have a lot of power, but they need help channeling the power towards one direction. Now at this point, each group had their own set of challenges, right? And it made sense to approach the training differently. So at that point, we were very experimental. So we took this opportunity to create different versions of training and to see which one works for what groups of people, and if this can be adopted to the overall team on a larger scale. Then there was another group called the social group. So this group of people, training for them was just mainly fun, light and easy. And for them, they just want a good workout and they want to socialize with each other. So 3 groups of people. During the same time, our ex-captain, he employed tactic to create adversity among the team in order to push them to perform better. So in one of my past episode called We Opened Pandora's Box and It Nearly Destroyed Us, go listen to it if you don't know what I'm talking about. I explain everything in detail and how this tactic was overused, misused, and nearly destroyed the team. So long story short, just to recap, the highly sensitive and experimental Rs program and the ex-captain's tactic caused a massive spiral in the team. The captain was creating adversities because the team thrive in adversities, but not just any adversities, external adversities, which means that challenges that were from the outside. But challenges from the outside, we can't control it, right? So what we can control is challenges from the inside. So our ex-captain would actually create these adversities in order to rile people up towards performing better. This experimental Rs program was also a very, very touchy thing. A lot of people, this was the first time we introduced a very high performance angle into the team. The team was never, at that point, the team has never seen this part of it. The members were not sold into this idea when they joined the team. So everything was very new. Not everybody agreed to the idea. Many people threatened to leave the team. In fact, a bunch of our best paddlers actually left the team. After that, we had to pull the handbrake on the Rs program, close the whole thing out, and we never touched it again. Mostly out of trauma, because it's one of those things where it was bad. It was bad. If you ask the paddlers, maybe not all of them can attest to feeling the same trauma, but for us, for people who were actually creating it, we created it, we ran it, we were the people behind it, we operated the whole thing, and we had to handle the damages. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was totally out of control. So that was one of those stuff that you will put in the box and then you just lock it on the corner. We never want to come back to it again. But the problem is, as Argo Naga becomes more mature and our paddlers become older in the sense of the amount of years they spend in the team, they become better, they're more experienced, they're more skilled. The team had to answer this, had to address the elephant in the room, right? We are a sports team. And as a sports team, what are we doing to promote performance? Because sports team, at the end of the day, it's about performance. You can kumbaya as much as you like, but if you're not winning, people will still leave because there is nothing that we are striving after, nothing that we are achieving beyond what we already are. We have to address the performance side. So in 2021, actually in 2020 and 2021, during the lockdown times, I devised a new system with the coaches at the time to allow all paddlers to gauge where they are in terms of fitness, skill, and other things in the team as well, other contributions. So we called it simply, this name is very utilitarian. It's just called Argo Assessment Sheet. Very simple. We refine all the disciplines and scoring systems. So we gave it like, let's say, 100 points, and we break it down into multiple areas, right? They can score points in all these areas if they want to make it into Argo A for our winning races. Right. What is winning races? Every single season, we have two types of races. One race is for winning. One race is for growth. Growth races are the races where we build the lineup very balanced. The seniors and juniors, they come together to paddle. So the purpose of growth is number one, for the seniors to mentor and motivate the juniors into becoming better. We allow this platform for experiment, mistakes, and all kinds of weird strategies and stuff to be done. And we don't care about going into finals. We don't care about winning, nothing at all. For us, it's just about having fun, teaching, mentoring, and experimentation. And also, if we have steerers who have never steered in a race before, we can use this platform for their maiden race experience. If they screw it up, they screw it up. It's fine. There is no judgment. There is nothing at all. So that's what growth races are for. And usually they are smaller races. Now, winning races are different. Winning races are the kind of races where we have to always remind ourselves to be brutally honest and very focused, laser focused on winning. Means that if there is no opportunity for the reserves to even touch the water throughout the entire race, even if they spend money traveling to the place and paying for hotel and everything, it has to be it. Because our goal is not to make everybody paddle. Our goal is to win races. So we do whatever it takes to win races. No excuses whatsoever. The assessment sheet included physical fitness, contribution to the team, race experience, attendance, and more other stuff. So the idea is that why we have contribution to the team, race experience, attendance, and other areas is because the team is run by people. If we award some points for their contribution to the team in, let's say, special roles, then we encourage people to actually help out in more ways than just be good at paddling, because the team is built out of people who keep the team together. Race experience is very important as well. Of course, I don't have to explain that. Then, of course, there's physical fitness, there's attendance, and all the other stuff as well. So, if a person falls short in one place, they can work hard elsewhere to make up for the shortfalls. Let's say, for example, if I have a paddler who is not very experienced, so they don't have a lot of points in experience, they don't contribute to the team in any specific roles, and their physical fitness is not very good, so they're like new paddlers, right? So what they can do is they can try to score full points in attendance. Thereby, having full attendance means that you come for training every single week, which means that your technique will improve, which means that chances are your physical fitness will eventually improve as well. Then on the other side, If we have some old-time paddlers who have been paddling for a very long time, they don't need to come for training every single week. They can actually skip a few training attendance, but they go to the gym and they keep fit, so they can score very high on physical fitness. They can actually also, because they have experience in managing the team, they can contribute in specific key roles in the team, and they also can score points there. And because they have more race experience, they also have more points there as well. It's a matter of balancing all these numbers and be able to make their way up into Argo A. So there is complete and total transparency. Anybody can just sit down one day and then you compute every single thing out and be able to measure whatever it takes, calculate whatever it takes to get into Boat A. Then every season we will allocate 2 to 3 days for physical assessment so they can prepare themselves to do a set of challenges. And these challenges test everything from their fast twitch muscles, slow twitch muscles, their ability to do a lot of stuff, plyometrics, endurance, metaphysical conditioning, and all this kind of stuff. We will take all these scores, and coaches will have a better clarity on allocating paddlers into lineups. Of course, these assessment scores are not final. They're just a guidance. Sometimes a paddler can score very well, but they are unable to cope with the demands of the lineup, or they do not have chemistry with that boat for many reasons. Coaches will move them to another boat. And sometimes it would be from A to B boat if it's necessary. Because for winning races, like I said again, we have to be brutally honest with our goal, and we cannot make any excuses to sabotage ourselves towards that goal. So our main goal, again, is to optimize chances of winning races without any compromises. And we have been testing it since 2021, 2022, right after COVID. And we can say that we are now at the 4th year of the assessment. Every single season, a new batch of coaches in training, CITs, and analytics team have been constantly making changes and improvements to it. And at this point, to be honest, I developed this thing and I don't even recognize half of how the measurement works right now. And I actually don't agree with everything that they suggest, but I suppose in my process of letting go of my role as head coach, I have to let it happen. And it was also during this time when I learned that things don't have to go your way for it to be effective. There are many ways to reach the same destination, and it may not be your way and you may not agree with it, but at the end, if it reaches the same destination, then everybody wins. And at the end of the day, we always remind our team that whatever we do, we have to stay true to the intention. The mechanics don't matter, how we get there don't matter, but the intention has to be true. Over the years, the analytics team and the coaches and the CIT team were able to keep true to this intention-based decision-making or intention-based principle of thought. And it's good. Everything is happening very well. I don't really contribute much to anything. I don't interfere much with anything. Everything just runs by itself. Everybody does everything. And looking back, the assessment sheet has brought a lot more paddlers into the gym and adopted a healthier lifestyle. In the early years, gym adoption among members is only 20 or 30% of the members. Most of the members don't go to the gym, much less do anything else physical. The only thing physical they do is actually paddle in the weekends. So it was quite amazing. Sometimes we were able to get into finals and bring back some medals. But of course, as time goes on, we need to have more consistency and more assurance that we need to be able to control our pathway to podium and cannot leave it to luck. At this point now, I think our gym adoption is close to 80% to 85%, if I'm not wrong. And many have also picked up functional training. And they have actually competed in the first competitions before. I think just a few months ago, they competed in Red Line. And some of them are training for High Rocks. They do marathons now. They do a lot of stuff outside, which have actually... The cool thing about it is they are doing it together as a team. Small cliques of them, but they still do it together as a team. They will always invite their fellow team members to do this, which is a good thing. And it translates well into their fitness because the head of DNA just a few days ago, she shared the results of all our physical assessments and the top scoring and the average and everything across the board. Across in the past 4 years, we have improved by a lot. It's quite amazing to think that in the beginning when I was crafting this assessment sheet with the group of CITs at that time, we had a doubt that the team would actually pick it up. They would be like, we were afraid that they would go, you know what, this is a waste of time. I don't want to do this. But we're actually quite glad that they come for assessments. They plan out the assessments, how to do this, how to do that. They go and train for it to get better at it. They take it seriously, and it's translating into results. And we're actually very happy. And we also finally saw how weak we were compared to actual athletes. I am happy for the realization of the team members, because I guess in some case we used to live in this little bubble where we look at each other within the team and say, oh, this is the strongest one, that's the strongest one. Then when we go out and compete in High Rocks and Red Line, then we realize that even the strongest one in the team can't hold a candle against the top 10% or top 20% of proper athletes in all other sports. And it motivates them, which is a good thing. I'm very happy for everybody who actually have this kind of humility towards growth in fitness. I can see now the path is clearer with the assessment score sheet. Of course, there is always things to improve on. There's always things to be better at. There are always fundamental questions that we need to, like growth, evolutionary, teething questions that we need to address. What should the team be? How should the team focus itself? Can we still be everything to everyone? Or is there a way for us to focus on actually pushing for medals all the time and neglecting anything else? But those are questions for the next generation of a coaching team to answer, because I suppose I've done everything that I can to set this thing up. And the team is maturing, and they understand the need to grind, because growth is a bell curve, right? It's not a linear thing. So when we reach a point where we moved from beginner level to intermediate level, the growth starts to taper, and we need to do more work to have less gains. And we need to understand grind is very important. The skills can only get them so far. Our technique can only get them so far. It comes down to a lot of hard work. The assessment score sheet gave everyone a lot of transparency and ultimately agency as well. They know in order to get to where they want to go, what they need to do. They understand what needs to be done in order to get medals and how they go about doing it. Transparency takes away a lot of power from the captain and head coach, which I can understand why in the early days the ex-captain did not want to entertain this idea, because in the very early days we were not mature enough to ask the right questions and to understand things to the scale that we are understanding now. So we needed a visionary leader to tell us exactly what to do and how to do it. But as the team grows and becomes wiser, I suppose, something like an assessment score sheet can take the team a lot further. Last time, we were able to build lineups however we see fit. We can't do that now. Yes, of course, there is still some influence that we can have based on proper justifications. And it's not a justification made by one person to one person. We actually make it collectively as the coach and the analytics team, so that one person cannot just use their own little bias to set the lineup. It has to be agreed upon by everybody. So one cool thing now is also that we do less work. The paddlers know how to score more points here and there. The team is progressing better. So we do less work in the sense that we don't have to make assumptions of how the paddlers are doing, do all this kind of experimentation, because we don't know whether they are good at this or not. We have all the data, and if we need to strip down all the data piece by piece in order to compare one paddler against another, we can actually do that now. And all in all, I guess the team won. It's a great system. I love it. Not to say that it is final. So if anybody from the coaching team and the analytics team is listening to this, it's not final. Don't rest on it. Always keep improving on it. There's always something new that you guys can work on to refine it better. And that's the assessment score sheet story and the R's story. I hope that this kind of approach that has transparency and creates agency among the paddlers can be continued, not just in coaching, but also many other areas as well. So there is some form of ownership the paddlers can have. So that's all for this week. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully next week. I hope I can make this a bit more of a regular thing again and try to address or talk about some of the topics that I may have missed out in the past episodes, or I may have promised that I would tell you about it, but I forgot. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.